Hey there! You're listening to Amplify Your Legacy. This podcast is packed with insights and strategies to turn your passion into something that endures for generations. So get comfortable, stay inspired, and let's jump into today's episode with your host, Sallana Brown. Welcome back, everyone, to Amplify Your Legacy. I'm your host, Sallana Brown, and this episode is brought to you by Homeclub Capital, your nationwide private funding partner for your real estate investments. Learn more at homeclubcapital.com. Today, we have an incredible guest, Melissa Daly. Melissa is a mind-body health practitioner, an international speaker, a 5-time best-selling author, and the host of Don't Wait for Your Wake-Up Call, an award-winning podcast ranked in the top 2% globally. She's also the co-founder of Amplify Impact Academy, where she trains others in healing modalities. But beyond all of that, she's someone who is truly making an impact in the world through her nonprofit, Girls Matter, which is dedicated to educating girls in Uganda and Kenya and breaking the cycle of poverty. Melissa, I want to welcome you to Amplify Your Legacy.
Thank you very much, Sallana, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show and have this important conversation.
You're welcome. So let's get started. Let's jump right into it. You have such a powerful mission, and your work spans health, wellness, education, and global impact. Let's start where you are today. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing currently? That would be perfect.
Yes. So I have a lot on the go currently, and I absolutely love all of it. So in my career, I am helping people get unstuck, to stop living the life that has been programmed in them as a young child and running their life. Their inner 5-year-old is running their life and stepping into their magnificence and what they were really meant to do and be in this world, and helping people tap into that using the powerful tools of the unconscious mind. So whether that's helping people on their health journey or their career journey or whatever aspect of their life where they are coming up against a roadblock and feeling like there's no more resources, I don't know where to turn. That's where we tap into the power of the unconscious mind and shift the direction, rewire some neurology, which is really cool, really fast. And the unconscious mind, the work is just so easy and graceful and done with such speed, versus when we work just with the conscious mind, we kind of get stuck in our thinking mind. The only tool we have to work with is willpower, and it all takes a lot longer. So that's the career side of my life, which I absolutely love, because this work is bringing people to where they really want to be and where we can have them, spread their wings and fly. And so that's incredibly fulfilling. And then when it comes to Girls Matter and my nonprofit, that is another passion project, keeping girls in school in Uganda and Kenya, because when we educate the girls, we literally change the GDP of nations. We grow that GDP, and this is how we bring countries out of poverty. And we literally do it one girl, one family, one village at a time.
I like that. That's incredible. Okay, so brain health, which is really important. Girls Matter, which is really important. Your passion is so clear, and I love how it all connects back to holistic healing, not just of the body, but also of communities and future generations. I know that you enjoy giving back, and that has always been a part of your journey. What motivated you to start Girls Matter?
As you said, I've always given back. I watched my parents volunteer a lot. And so I grew up with the programming that as parents, that's what you do. And so, of course, that's what I did. And so when my daughters were young, I became a Girl Guide leader in the States. That's the same as Girl Scouts. And back in 2013, I took my Girl Guide unit to watch a documentary called Girls Rising. And this was a documentary all about the struggle of girls in various countries around the world to gain access to education. They wanted an education, and they were being denied the right to that education simply because they were a girl.
Mm.
And I watched that documentary with tears streaming down my face because I knew I was sitting in a room with 20 girls, my own 2 daughters included, and me, who at some point had taken our education for granted. And here were these girls desperate for an education and being denied it simply based on gender. And in that moment, I knew education should be a right and not a privilege. And I knew that I wanted to do something to change this, and I had no idea what or how. I was in the corporate world back then. And so I just let that float around in the back of my mind. Fast forward a couple of years, and I was let go from that corporate job. And then I started my entrepreneurial journey, which of course is a personal growth journey. And as I stepped into that journey, I was at a conference at the end of December 2016, where the speaker said, we are all put on this planet to do 3 things: never stop learning, be of service, and find your mission. And you don't have to know your how, you just have to know your why.
Your why.
And I sat there and that resonated so deeply with me. And I went, I know my why, I don't know my how. And because I didn't know my how, I hadn't been speaking it. And so nobody else knew my why. And I realized I just have to start sharing this with people. And when I start sharing this with people, the resources will come. And I left that conference and I contacted the only 2 people that I knew in the province of British Columbia, Canada, where I am, that had started a nonprofit. And I asked them, will you teach me how to start a nonprofit? And they said, sure, what do you want to do? And I told them that I wanted to help keep girls in school because we could literally bring countries out of poverty. This is how we change the world. It's a simple solution. It's not easy. It takes a lot of funding. It takes a lot of support. However, this is what I wanted to start. And they said, we love it. We'll do it with you. Piggyback it on our nonprofit, which was providing preschool education in villages, because a lot of the schools are overcrowded, the elementary schools, and kids were getting through to the end of elementary school and still illiterate. So by offering preschool education and teaching children their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s at a younger age, they could hold their own through elementary school. So they already had teaching staff in place and members of the community. So it was really easy. We literally launched a month later in the same community in Uganda and started Girls Matter. So now they were offering the preschool education, the government offered the elementary school education, and then Girls Matter was helping girls achieve high school education and beyond. And since then, we've partnered with another organization in Kenya, the Jolly Sisters, who are helping women from the slums learn how to earn an income from running a market stall, from creating native crafts and then selling that online, from making reusable, washable menstrual supplies. And their daughters weren't going to school. And so we are now supporting their daughters in going to school as well. So that's how we got started. And it's been a wonderful journey.
I see. Wow, that's such a powerful experience, powerful realization, wonderful impact. And since starting Girls Matter, you've no doubt seen ripple effects, right?
Absolutely.
Can you share a success story of how educating just one girl has transformed not only her life, but the community?
Absolutely. And so I will, share a story. And the statistics state that an educated girl is more than twice as likely to educate her own children. And so as a result, it's not just the ripple effect in the community now, it's the ripple effect across generations that we're creating here. And that's what I really love. In terms of the ripple effect in our own community, it is something that we ask when the girls apply to be sponsored by Girls Matter. How are you going to use your education to benefit the community afterwards? And so one of our examples is that we had a student that we had sponsored through high school and university graduate as a teacher in 2024.
Wow.
We have a core group of girls right now that are in grade 10. They're on the British system, so they are studying for their O-levels this year. What we did was we asked that teacher to come back to the community over their Christmas holidays. Their school year is February to December, so they were home December, January on holiday, and tutor them in the subjects that they were saying they needed help in, which was math, physics, chemistry, and biology. And then we added financial literacy to that as well, because of course that's important. They don't learn it at school. So Rebecca, our teacher and graduate of Girls Matter, came back into the community and tutored the younger girls in grade 10 3 times a week for 3 hours a day for the 8 weeks of their school holidays in order to have them go back to school feeling competent in those STEM subjects where they were feeling that they weren't as strong.
Okay.
And so that's a beautiful way that we have our graduates come back and support the younger girls. And when they do their A levels in 2 years' time, we're going to be doing the same thing again.
That's great.
That's one example.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly why this work is so critical. You know, you learn and then you teach.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I have another example too, if you'd like.
Say that again.
I have another example as well with another one of our girls, if you would like.
Oh, yes, please share.
In fact, all of our graduates come back and help. However, this particular girl, she didn't graduate from university. She chose to go to vocational school and become a seamstress.
Okay.
And what we did is when she was out of school, she no longer had access to a sewing machine. And so what we did is we did a microfinance loan to her so that she could buy a sewing machine and start her business. And then what happened is we were starting to see pictures of our girls at home on the holidays when they're not in school uniform with shirts on and then a piece of paper safety pinned at the front of the shirt. And we were asking, why do they have pieces of paper safety pinned on the front of their shirt, to our teaching staff? And the teaching staff said because the shirts are so holy, they didn't want to take pictures of them and send them to us with the holes showing. So they safety pinned a piece of paper in the front of it.
To cover the hole.
Exactly. And we said, so you need clothes? And they said, yes, can you please send us clothes? And so, of course, we could do a clothing drive here easily. However, the cost of shipping it over is prohibitive. And in talking to others and doing our research, we discovered it wouldn't even get to the girls because unfortunately there's so much corruption that it would get to customs, and the custom officers would open it up and see clothing from North America and go, ooh, I can sell this. And they would pocket the money themselves. So to get around that, what we did is we actually sent funds over to our teaching staff, and they gave it to Evelyn, our seamstress, who went to local stores and bought fabric, and we asked her to design dresses for the girls. And over the course of 3 months, she made dresses for all of the teenage girls in the village. And it was really amazing. I mean, just imagine if you'd never, ever had a brand new dress. Imagine what that does for your self-confidence to be able to put that dress on and call it your own.
Wow. Yes.
And what I really love about it is it's made in their beautiful native fabrics, in their native style of clothing, as opposed to us sending over North American hand-me-downs, right?
Also made by a local. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So we were supporting Evelyn in her business, and I hope that as the girls wear the dresses, that other people might be like, oh, where did you get that dress? And then they can say, oh, Evelyn made the dress, and that, you know, her business might grow word of mouth as a result of that. And the next step to that is that the girls over there don't have easy access to menstrual supplies. In fact, most of them have nothing, which means they miss a week of school every month. It means, you know, the women and the girls, even if they're not in school, they don't leave the house during that time period, because they don't have access to supplies. So 2 years ago, we had partnered with Rotary in Uganda, and they had a manufacturing plant for making reusable washable supplies. And we ordered the amount that we could order, which was for 400 people. And then it turned out 800 girls showed up to receive their supplies. So we had to split all the orders in half, and every girl, instead of getting a 1-year supply, got a 6-month supply. Well, that was 2 years ago. And we haven't had the funding to do that again because we've also been really busy trying to pay all of the school fees that we need to pay. So what we're doing now is we've actually found a training center in Kenya where they teach women how to make these menstrual supplies so that we don't have to be dependent on buying them from a manufacturing plant.
Wow.
We are now sending Evelyn to go to the training center for 2 weeks to learn how to make these supplies. And you might think, well, 2 weeks is a really long time. Isn't it faster to do that? Well, there's so much that she needs to understand that's cultural for them so that the girls will use the supplies, right? So it's about the color of the supplies, like, you know, making white pads isn't going to work because they'll be stained the first time. The girls won't want to wash them and hang them on the clothesline in the sun to dry and use them again. They'll just be thrown out. So it's the colors of the fabrics. It's the softness of the fabric so that they're comfortable. It's the absorbency of the fabric so they actually work, right? So there's a lot at play here to make sure that her training is strong enough that she can then come back and train other women and girls in the community so that they can be then self-sufficient in making the supplies for the 1,000 or so women and girls that we now have in the community. And we can give all of them that freedom every day of the month. And they don't feel like they have to be locked down for 1 week of every month of the year.
That's amazing. They're learning critical life skills, of course, but also skills that they can use in creating businesses.
Exactly. And pass down through the generations again.
Indeed. And now I hear you have a new campaign you're launching.
Yes.
One that makes it easy for everyone to get involved in supporting girls' education. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. And so this is created on the basis of we know people want to help others and people sometimes just don't know how. And we also know people are busy. So why not ask people to help by doing something they already do? And that is enjoying meals with friends and families. So it's called Eat So They Can Study. That's the hashtag. The website is girlsmatter.ca/study. And the premise behind it is invite people over for a meal as you normally would. And so often they might bring a bottle of wine or a dessert. And you don't really need another bottle of wine and you don't really need another dessert. So ask them, instead of bringing that bottle of wine or dessert, to donate to Girls Matter instead and have them know that they're helping girls access education while you are all enjoying a wonderful meal. And through this process, we're actually wanting to create a movement with that hashtag. And so we ask, when you're having your meal, take a photo of you and your friends with the banner that we provide. Once you register on our site, we send you this by email. Include this in the photo and then post it on your social media and let people know that you are sharing a meal and supporting girls' education. And other people might look at it and go, what's that? And together, each of us is just contributing a little bit, and we build momentum. And over time, we literally grow a movement where it's really easy for everyone to get involved and support the girls' education.
What a great idea. That's exactly what we need, something tangible that allows people to make an impact in a very simple way.
And kids can even get involved. Because how many times, kids have birthday parties, and what's the birthday party all about? It's about having fun with their friends, eating cake, playing games, etc., etc. And, all of us in the first world, we have so much stuff. And do our kids really need more stuff? And if your child doesn't really need any more stuff, perhaps you'd like to talk to your child about Girls Matter, and they can ask their friends to put it out to them. Instead of bringing me a present of something that I don't really need, would you donate the funds towards Girls Matter? And it helps to start teaching our children how much they have and how fortunate they are, and letting them know that it's not like that for everyone around the world. And if they just contribute a little bit, they too can make a difference.
Totally agree. Making a difference is really important. And speaking of making a difference, speaking of impact, let's talk about legacy. What does legacy mean to you, and how are you intentionally building your own right now?
Legacy means to me simply, what am I leaving behind when I leave this planet? What will I be remembered for? And what is the difference that I made? And so the legacy that I'm building is bringing countries out of poverty. And it may not be completed in my lifetime. However, in building the legacy, I hope that others will join that are younger than I am and, take the baton and keep building this. Because the stat that really motivated me to start this was in that documentary, Girls Rising. And by the way, if anybody just wants to go and watch the trailer, it's on YouTube and it's all of less than 3 minutes. And it is so powerful. And the stat that was mentioned in the documentary is that if India could educate just 1% more girls, they would grow their GDP by $5.5 billion. And
Wonderful.
yes, I'm working with countries in Africa. It doesn't matter. If we educate the girls, we grow the GDP of the country because the girls get out into the workforce and have a career, and that expands the economy over time. And so the solution to bringing these countries out of poverty, it's very simple. Educate the girls, we grow the GDP. It isn't easy because it takes resources. However, as a planet, we can do this together so that we can get rid of the haves and the have-nots, and we can just all come together and all have what we need. There's enough resources for everyone in the planet. They're just unevenly distributed right now. And so this legacy is to rebalance that, make life easier with more resources available to those that currently are struggling. And on the other side, bring more happiness and joy and fulfillment to the people, the haves, who think that having more equates with happiness. Happiness is on the inside.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. I love saying, be the first, pave the way. Were you the first to do something just out of the ordinary in your family?
I've never really stopped to think about that. And something like this, yes, not necessarily something out of the ordinary, something like this, yes. And what came to me when you said that, be the first, pave the way, is actually a song that I've recently come across called Start a Wave. And it's from the soundtrack. I'm just going to look it up very quickly. The soundtrack World of Color. And it's featuring Cody Fry. And that's exactly what that song is about, is everything starts somewhere. So the ocean was once a drop of water, and then more water came, right? More people, more water drops joined in, and we created an ocean. Here, we started with one person who reached out to two. We were 3 co-founders. We have a board of directors. And through this Eat So They Can Study, and we create this movement, more people get on board, and we literally can change the world. I can't do it alone. However, if everybody does a little bit together, we can have profound impact on the lives of these girls.
Love it. Do you have someone that you credit for your inspiration?
That I cred whoever put that documentary together, and I honestly don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
That changed my life. It's a beautiful documentary, and it was put out for International Women's Day. And so I thank whoever they are for the research, for the beautiful way they put it together, and for drawing attention to this need, and for allowing others to get involved and to have these conversations. And thank you to you for having me here so that I can have this conversation and continue to share this message.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, you have children?
I do. I have 2 daughters.
Are your daughters inspired to carry on your mission in some way?
They, at this time, I would say no. They know I'm part of Girls Matter. They're both kind of in their very young adulthood lives trying to find their place in the world. And at some point, I believe they will come to this and get more involved. However, right now, travel and seeing the world and experiencing the world is their priority. And I did that when I was the same age, and I highly recommend it because it's how I learned who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And travel to me is as educational as the classroom, and in a different way. And it teaches us about other cultures and the way other people live, and has
Certainly.
us experiencing, new foods, new languages, and creating resilience amongst us, and recognizing that at the end of the day, we're all human with 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 arms, 2 legs. And the differences are what make us stronger. And it breeds tolerance. And so that's where they're at in their life. And I highly encourage it for everyone that is able to, because it does allow us to see how other people live and then come back and then be more inspired to support the work that I'm doing, because now they've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, that's really important. Traveling to see the world, to see other cultures and other experiences.
Exactly.
So as you reflect on your journey, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned about different cultures, or even just you yourself building a legacy and making an impact? What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
From my travel, I really learned who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And that led me down the path of being in the hotel industry for 24 years. That was my corporate job, because I love meeting new people and I love exploring new places. So they became passions for me. There's so many lessons along the way. One lesson is that we can do anything we put our mind to, and that we don't ever have to think that this is too big for me to start it, because the reality is, just start it and start speaking it, and the people will come, the resources will come. If I got in my head and going, well, there's 66 million girls globally out of school, how can I possibly make an impact? I didn't go there. I said, what if I could just impact one girl?
One girl.
Then I've made a difference. And that leaves me feeling happy and fulfilled. And what if it gets bigger than that? And what if it grows? And what if people join in and we can build a movement? And so that's the mindset from which I approach this. And many lessons along the way in mindset that started with a book by Carol Dweck called The Mindset. And I continued my personal growth journey from starting with that book and that conference in December 2016.
The mindset book is really important. How does that mindset book go hand in hand with the brain health that you've been studying and practicing? Because aren't you a NLP practitioner?
Yes. So mindset is absolutely critical. Are we on Victim Island, or are we living in Solution City as we bring it into our NLP trainings? It's all in how we look at things. And when we start to understand that we're creating our own reality every single day, and that when we shift our thoughts to a different perspective, we can be living in Solution City all the time. When things go wrong in our life, which is bound to happen, let's face it, if life was all rainbows and unicorns and roses, it would get boring after a while. Things happen in order that we can learn new skills and we can grow. However, in the moment when those things happen, it may not feel good. And we might be, why is this happening to me? And on Victim Island, woe is me, and telling our sob story to as many people as possible. However, when we realize that keeps us stuck over there in Victim Island, and we start to learn the tools of our mind and NLP to go, hey, how is this happening for me? What am I supposed to learn here? How can I move forward and get over here to Solution City, where, by the way, the restaurants are way better. You have a beachfront condo. You can walk into any store and just don your personal power suit and stand in your power. Like, who doesn't want to be there, right? And life happens. We're always going to end up back over on Victim Island. However, what happens is we get there and we go, oh, this feels icky. I don't want to be here. And instead of having just a rowboat to get us to Solution Island, we've developed more skills. And now we get to jump in the big red speedboat and get straight back over to Solution City. So it all ties together. And it was a number of years of reading and learning that got me into my NLP training position that I'm in now. And I love sharing these tools with others and the power of our unconscious mind. And it's the other 90%. And ultimately, that's my vision, is our business, Amplify Impact Academy. We donate 10% of all of our revenues to Girls Matter. And ultimately, I'd like to get that to a place where the revenues allow us to bring this education to the girls in Africa at no charge.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. If you could leave one message for future generations about the importance of giving back and making an impact, what would it be?
It would literally be that your happiness comes from within. And when you give back, the sense of fulfillment fuels that happiness. And you get to move through life in a place of far greater peace and joy. And so don't ever be afraid to give back. Giving and receiving is cyclical. In order for you to be able to receive, you need to be giving. And so give first and then allow yourself to receive. And you'll receive from some other place. It's not giving to one person and that one person gives back. It's you're giving where you give, and you'll receive something else beautiful in your life in return. And give first.
I like that. Yeah, reciprocity is definitely important. How do you hope Girl Matters continue to grow and evolve over the next 10 years, 20 years? How do you see that growth going?
I see that growth going where we continue to support girls with their education, that we offer more microfinance loans to the girls that have completed their education and that are looking to start businesses and generate their own income. Some of the girls will go into, working for employers, and that's awesome too. So the education is a big piece of it. I would love to see us expand into a few more countries. Nepal is one of them. Is again, my co-founders, they have a preschool in Nepal. And so that's the next place that we would like to go. It's a very rural area of Nepal. And I would love to see the movement Eat So They Can Study be known internationally, where every time people have friends over for dinner, that it's just a no-brainer, that they say, hey, don't forget to donate to Girls Matter. And everyone all around the world knows the difference that they're making. And in doing so, it makes it that much easier for us to expand and support more girls in more countries all over the world.
Thank you. That's great. I love the long-term vision for the legacy that you're creating with this foundation. Okay, so for our listeners who are looking to amplify their own legacies, what's one practical step that they can take to start making an impact similar to what you're doing?
So there's two ways that we can get started: is find someone else that is doing the work that you would like to be supporting and join them. Find out how you can get involved. Is it adding to what they're already doing because you have a new skill set that they need? Is it opening a chapter in a different state that you can help spread it across North America? Or is it starting something from scratch on your own? The reason I chose to start this from scratch on my own is because I did first start looking at, organizations that were funding girls' education. And I really believe strongly in giving 100% of the funds to the girls. And too many of them, I looked at the wages of the people that were running them, and they were astronomical. And I looked at, you donate and then they send you gift cards or they send you address labels or whatever. I don't do that. I keep it really simple. Thank you for your donation. You get an electronic thank you, and then all the funds that you donated go to the girls. So that's why I started from scratch. So if you're not finding what you want that meets your criteria, then go ahead, start something from the ground up and reach out to people that have already done it in order to learn how to do it for yourself. And if I can do it, you can do it, because I'm just a regular person. There's nothing special or any skill set that I had. I literally reached out to people to say, show me how. And you can do the same exact thing.
That's wonderful. Great tips. So, Melissa, this conversation has really been inspiring. Before we wrap up, how can people connect with you and get involved with Girls Matter?
Our website is simply girlsmatter.ca. We're in Canada, so that's why it's the .ca. Our email address is info@girlsmatter.ca, and that's how you can reach out to me. And our campaign website for Eat So They Can Study is girlsmatter.ca/study. You can take that information, register to host people at your house, share that with your network. And if you would like to reach out to me directly, please email me and I will absolutely reply to you.
Perfect. Well, we'll have all those links in the show notes, so be sure to check them out. And Melissa, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, and for the work that you're doing to change lives.
Thank you very much for having me, Sallana. I really appreciate it.
And to all of our listeners, your legacy starts with the impact you choose to make today. Whether it's educating our youth, pursuing your passions, or lifting up those around you, every action counts. And don't forget, today's sponsor is Homeclub Capital, your nationwide private lending partner for your real estate investments. Visit homeclubcapital.com to learn more. Until next time, keep making an impact and keep amplifying your legacy. That's all for this episode of Amplify Your Legacy. A huge thank you for listening in today. I hope today's conversation has sparked some reflection on your own legacy. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Sallana Brown. And visit sallanabrown.com for more resources on growing and preserving your legacy. Be sure to leave a rating or review. It helps others discover the show. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with inspiration and actionable strategies. Until next time, keep amplifying your legacy.